Hello everyone, my name is Titus Smith and I am an engineering student here at Colorado School of Mines. I'm starting my senior year here in mechanical engineering. I chose to take bladesmithing this semester as it fit well within my schedule and I really wanted to learn how to make blades and knives as well as learn the metallurgy behind knife making. To start out our class, we worked through several lectures and quizzes as a crash course on the metallurgy of bladesmithing, as well as making a knife based on a pre-made recipe. Then, in the second half of the class, we got to design and build fully custom knives based on what we had learned. For my first knife, I decided to create a 10-inch Bowie knife. To start out making this knife, I took a 1.56-inch piece of 01 tool steel and cut out the blade profile on the bandsaw. Then I drilled the holes for the pins into the tang and ground the primary bevels using the grinder. Then the knife was heat treated by first hardening and then tempering the blade to increase hardness and retain toughness. After this, the blade was polished and sharpened on a whetstone. The mahogany handle was shaped and glued and pinned into place. To finish the knife, I laser etched my maker's mark into the blade and made it Kydex sheath for the knife. For my second knife, I planned the full knife out in SOLIDWORKS CAD to ensure that all the dimensions were appropriate and that the knife would look good. I decided to make this knife more challenging than my first knife, both to advance my own proficiency and to get a more refined blade. This time, I decided to go with a D2 steel as it provides excellent hardenability and corrosion resistance and is relatively inexpensive. For my handle material, I chose bonded leather layers to provide a natural feel while still allowing me to make a hidden tang design easily. The style of knife I chose was a Fairbairn-Sykes style dagger. The Fairbairn-Sykes fighting knife is a double-edged knife developed by William Fairbairn and Eric Sykes. The Fairbairn-Sykes fighting knife was made famous during World War II when it was issued to British commandos, the airborne forces, the SAS, and many other units, especially for the Normandy landings in June 1944. My design consisted of a double-edged blade approximately 11 inches long and 0.145 inches thick, the hidden tang, and a leather handle. I also included a finger guard and a butt plate to hold the leather handle in place. Initially, I decided on peening tang into the butt plate, but decided to thread the tang and use it after talking to the TAs. To make the blade, I followed the same process as the previous knife, with cutting out the blade from stock piece of D2 steel and shaping and grinding it on the grinding machine. For the guard and the butt plate, I also cut them out of the same piece of steel as the blade and filed out rectangular holes in each to fit the tang. I also used a die to thread the end of the tang for the bolt to go on. The threading and filing steel for the handle was the hardest part of this knife, and in the future I will design my knife handle to be easier to manufacture. The heat treatment process was more complicated for this knife because of the nature of the D2 steel. The high chromium content means that to get a good quench on the blade, you have to do a second cryo quench, where you put the blade in liquid nitrogen after it's been initially cooled out of the forge. For the leather handle, I glued a bunch of leather discs together and dyed and painted them black to match the aesthetic of the knife. I also spent a long time shaping the leather on the grinder to get the signature curve of the Fairbairn-Sykes knife. To finish out the second knife, I etched my maker's mark into it, made a leather sheath for the knife, and sharpened it. I had a ton of fun working on both of my blades this semester. My favorite part of the process was probably heat treating the blade for the second knife, as I got to work with liquid nitrogen. Overall, the class was very enjoyable, and I would highly recommend taking this class if you get the chance.
Then you choose the style.
Yeah.
And it will, there you go.
Choose the continuous line.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Nice.
Should I do something? I'm gonna go grab mine. It's like, oh my gosh. Oh. I was gonna say, yeah.